Hey everybody, it's Macky, and it's just me today. We got a special series coming up where we're going to be talking about the investigative process. I hope you find it interesting, but I think it's important that we get this laid out there because even a lot of investigators couldn't tell you what the investigative process is. Now they go out and do it, and some of them do it a great job. But I think it's important when we're laying out our plan to a client that we lay out the process, and we do that in our statement of work. We lay out the goals, we lay out the assumptions, we lay out the tests we're going to do, what kind of tools we're going to use, and then we talk about how we're going to report the facts. So yeah, it's important to go through it, and I want to write up on my handy dandy whiteboard here behind me. But yeah, it's just going to be me here for the next 4 episodes, and we're going to have some special guests coming up. So I hope you stay tuned in and check it out. Now, if you're just listening, I'm going to be doing some writing on the board, and you can check it out if you flip over to YouTube and see the what I'm writing on the board. But it's not important. Hopefully I can explain it good enough so you can understand what I'm doing, even on the audio version only. So here we go. Let's check it out. Let's talk about the investigative process. Let's talk about step number 1. I'm going to write up on the board here. Number 1 is list goals. We're going to list the goals. All right. Oftentimes clients come to me and they say, hey, I know something's going on, but I don't even know what I need to be doing. And that's why they come to us, the professionals who've worked thousands of cases, ranging from domestic all the way down to simply finding somebody through IRB through a simple internet search. So, and anything in between, missing persons and all those things. So goals for the case could be, let's talk about domestic, proving my spouse is cheating. Okay, that's a good goal. Or prove the other parents are unfit, child custody. Criminal, it could be go out and find new evidence, find some witnesses that were not available to testify or were not questioned by the police at the time of the original investigation. Or let's talk about workers' compensation fraud. We want to prove that this person is faking an injury so we can stop paying them and potentially pursue criminal charges. So those are just a few goals. This first part, we're going to just go through the process, the steps, and then the following episodes, we're going to break it down step by step about and list out some goals. But here we go. Let's talk about step 2. Step 2 is list assumptions. All right, list assumptions. I keep hitting my handy dandy board here, but hey, we're good. We're going to list assumptions. So the client has assumptions. After consulting with the client, we have assumptions, and we're going to list those out. We're going to write them down. So let's go back to the most famous cases private investigators work, domestic cases. Assumptions may be that we think our spouse is having an affair. So we go out and we take a look, and we're going to say, hey, assumptions are they're seeing another person. Sometimes the client can name the person. They say, hey, I think it's such and such. So we write that down. Hey, this is an assumption. Another assumption is they may be hiding assets. I have the assumption that my husband is hiding assets. Now, clients come to us and they say they have proof of it. We start looking at proof. It's not proof. It's just hearsay and those kind of things. But that's why they're hiring us. They go out and take a look and prove these things to be facts. So step number 2 was list assumptions. Number 3, test with tools. All right. This is where a lot of investigators and even clients get confused. They think, hey, surveillance is an actual investigation. It is not. Surveillance is a tool. They think that finding and locating witnesses is an actual investigation. It is not. It's a tool to use to prove assumptions as facts. So when we get going here, in the next parts, you'll see where I list assumptions on one side, and then we test, and out the other side, there's facts. So you may have 100 assumptions. Out of 100 assumptions, you may have 3 become fact, or none become fact, depending on the investigation. So tools we have a variety of tools. We have digital tools. We have physical tools such as surveillance, finding people, conducting interviews, and that's part of it. But the number 4 is going to be report facts. Reporting facts is very important. A lot of times we get going and clients, we say, hey, there's nothing going on here. We may have one where maybe the wife thinks her husband's out shooting pool, getting drunk, and seeing other women. And we were able to prove that he's out shooting pool and getting drunk, but there's been no evidence that he's been with another woman. And we can only report what our fact is factual. We can't be creative writers and make up stories. This is, in my opinion, reporting facts is the most important part of the case. You can make or break a case with a good report. Now, with only facts in it, we cannot go out and create evidence. What I mean by that? So say, let's use the example of the man shooting pool and we think he's seeing another woman. And he does shoot pool one night and he's in a tournament and he happens to play a woman one night. Okay. And they shoot pool together. And we happen to follow that woman or go out and see what car she's getting in, get her tag number and say, yeah, he was in fact shooting pool with this woman. Her name is Mary Smith. Let's just throw a name out there. Does that mean that they were having an affair? Absolutely not. We did not see them coming out of a hotel room together. We did not see them parked in a car together anywhere. They did not go to each other's house. So we cannot say that it appears that they are having a relationship. So I've seen investigators would actually elaborate on their writing and say something like, he appeared to be in a relationship with this woman. But when you look at the evidence, the surveillance, the photos, they were just shooting pool together. So it's not it's not factual. So, all right, let's write it. I put this in a quadrant. Draw 4 quadrants here. Okay. And we got the goals quadrant. We got the assumptions quadrant. And we got the test quadrant. And then we got the facts quadrant. Okay. All right. Everything flows in this direction. Everything flows here. Goals go to assumptions. Assumptions get tested. And then we report facts. See how that works? Okay. All right. We may have several goals here. We may have a bunch of goals here. All right. I'm just doing some scribbling. We may have a bunch of assumptions here under assumptions. And then we test. Okay. We test those assumptions with surveillance, digital tools, interviews, and just pure old research sometimes as well. We do research. All right. So maybe we have 100 assumptions. What if we have 100 assumptions? After all the tests, we may come up with only 2 facts. Okay. And that's just the way it is. That's how we do it. And sometimes people get angry about that. They say, hey, excuse me, I know something's going on and you guys are starting doing your job, but we can go back in our process and show them and show a jury, show a court where this is all taking place. That's why we have a process. So when we're setting up on the stand and the opposition says, hey, what was your process, which has happened before, we take them through the process. All right. And even the side that we're working for, sometimes they even say things like, hey, what's your process? And we say it at the beginning after they qualify us and all that. We'll say, here's our process. And what comes out as facts, what we saw cannot be disputed. So sometimes it's favorable for a client, sometimes it's not. And I hate it when it's not, because they tend to blame us for their life problems. And so we just cannot report fiction. We can't do it. And I hope people understand that. And after watching this, you see how we go through our process. Some people call it scientific method. I'm not really a scientist, all right? But I do follow a process which can be considered scientific. And we like to do that where we can explain it at the beginning of the process and we can explain it at the end of the process and during the process as well. Okay? This is all written down in our contract. If you've ever gotten a contract for us, you saw a block in there under section 1A, I think, under section 1. No, it's section 1. And then under that is A, B, C, D, and E. But it actually lists out the assumptions and what tools we're going to use. All right, it has assumptions and what we're going to do. It'll say something like, conduct surveillance in order to prove that the subject is having an affair. Now, also, there's a clause in our contract that says we cannot guarantee the results of this investigation. We start testing, we cannot guarantee how people are going to act. We can't guarantee it. All right. And some people may assume that somebody's out doing something cheating on their spouse, being a drunk, being a drug addict. But once we test that through surveillance or other means, and it's not factual, we can't report it as fact. You may want it to be. It may help your case if it is, but we just absolutely cannot report and be report fiction in a report. We can't do it. So that's part of all with part one here. And the next part, we're going to actually talk about some goals that would possibly be part of a case. So stay tuned for the next episode. We'll see you in a bit.